coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Really quickly, one last result that I want to talk about. Maybe we do the charity exhibitions, maybe we don't. There is one final result, though. And I do want to talk about the Kentucky-Tennessee game, as Tennessee goes to Kentucky, a slight road favorite, and they beat the Kentucky Wildcats. Final score 33-27. First off, from the Kentucky fans' perspective, I understand you're frustrated. I saw the refs this, the refs, and the refs didn't lose you this game, just like the refs did not lose Tennessee the game against Alabama a week ago. Same time, I get the frustration from Kentucky fans with the best coach that you have had in almost certainly your lifetime. This is an unbelievable stat. Kentucky now 2-9 against Tennessee under Mark Stoops. And this is at a time when Tennessee was not good for most of this run. Tennessee always seems to find a way to win these games. It really doesn't matter what or how or what the circumstances are. But at the same time, I want to take a moment and give credit to Tennessee, okay? Because one thing that I do think happens is we get so caught up in the playoff picture and what does it mean for Georgia and Michigan and the national championship hunt. I talk about this every year. I think too often in this era of college football, we do not appreciate the stories that don't involve the college football playoff. And I think Tennessee is one of them. Because you look at Tennessee coming into the year. Last year was a dream season that obviously ended in nightmare at South Carolina. Now, last week with the South Carolina-Michigan rumors, maybe there was some more going on there that we don't know about, which I talked about on YouTube. You should check that out, by the way. But at the same time, when you look at that Tennessee season, incredible. Everything breaks right really largely up until that night. Hendon Hooker is better than even the highest person, people that were higher on him than anybody could have imagined. Jalen Hyatt turns into a Biletnikoff-type wide receiver. You get Alabama at home. You get Florida at home. There's a lot of things that break your way. And so there were a lot of people in this offseason, myself absolutely included, that said, is Josh Heupel that good? Is Tennessee that good? Or did a lot of things just break their way in 2022? Well, as it turns out, no, because Tennessee is now 6-2. There are only two losses. One was at Alabama where they had the lead in the half. I would say they basically played one bad half of football at Florida, which ultimately cost them the game. But they now have beaten Texas A&M. They won at Kentucky. And overall, let me just give credit to Josh Heupel. And we've talked about this, but I want to do the official Josh Heupel rant before we get out of here on this Monday. Let's give this man credit for who he is as a coach. Because, and I've said this before, but so many coaches, they're so tied into, this is my system, this is what I do, this is how I play, this is what I'm about. And Josh Heupel in one offseason has essentially changed everything that Tennessee is about. Last year with Hendon Hooker, they were an elite pass offense, just a fantastic pass offense, one of the best in college football. It probably statistically might have ended up as the best if Hendon Hooker didn't get hurt, but it was an offense last year that finished 5th in college football, 326 passing yards per game, certainly the most in the SEC. And then that offense obviously put up 48 points per game, the most in college football. I bring it up because you lose Hendon Hooker. And I think there's an immediate assumption, well, Joe Milton has to be Hendon Hooker or this team isn't going to succeed. Now, the credit to Joe Milton, he actually played very well at Kentucky on Saturday night, 18 of 21 passing, 228 yards, 1 touchdown. But at the same time, with Joe Milton isn't Hendon Hooker, okay? And so you see this everywhere. When Alabama can transition from Tua to Mac Jones to Bryce Young, they don't miss a beat. Then Bryce Young, there's not the next Bryce Young, and all of a sudden it took them a while to figure things out. And so with Tennessee, I give Josh Heupel so much credit because a year ago it was pass, tempo. And this year they have completely changed who they are. They are now a line of scrimmage team. They are now a run-first team. And they're a team that against a Kentucky run defense, which came into Saturday ranked in the top 15 nationally, they punked Kentucky at the line of scrimmage. Tennessee finished that game with 253 yards rushing, 5.5 yards per carry. But here's the crazy part, 47 rush attempts. They were just like 47 rushes. We're handing the ball off. We're not going to let Joe Milton beat us. Joe Milton was great, so I'm not discrediting Joe Milton. But it was clear, like it has been every game, we're going to run the ball. We're going to be super effective. And so for one offseason, for Josh Heupel to go from a guy that has the nation's or the SEC's top passing attack with running as an important part, but not the necessary part, to a team that is now a line of scrimmage football team, elite run game, I think that just deserves credit. And so again, we'll see what happens with the rest of Tennessee's schedule. It does not get easier. In case you do not know, they still have 2 really big games on the schedule, not including the UConn Huskies coming to Neyland Stadium this weekend. They have Missouri on the road 2 weeks from now, and then Georgia at home on November 16th, excuse me. So you got a lot of big games still ahead. Again, not including the UConn Huskies. But I bring it up because weirdly, Tennessee is not actually eliminated from the SEC East Championship. Now, they'd have to beat Missouri, and they'd have to beat Georgia, and then Georgia would have to pick up another loss along the way. I think the way the math works out is if Tennessee beats Missouri and Georgia loses to either Missouri or Ole Miss, we would essentially have a de facto winner takes the SEC East game in Knoxville on November 16th. Not going to go that far just yet, but listen, I just think Josh Heupel deserves a ton of credit. So many guys are stuck with their scheme and their system, and this is what I do, and this is what I'm about, and this is who I am. Not enough guys get enough credit. Not enough guys are just dudes that just play to the strengths and the weaknesses of their players. And so credit to Josh Heupel.